So then, guys, this is the I suppose the end of the mass blowout of purchases for 2016 in respect of the final major purchase for 2016, and it's about the PlayStation 4 Pro. I've stated to you guys before that I was looking to get the PlayStation 4 Pro. That was delivered last week on Thursday. I haven't had a great deal of time to spend with the machine itself, but I've done some testing on it, and I'm not sure where this video is going to go. I've got quite a few things in my mind I want to sort of go through, and a lot of it's going to be discussion. I'm going to try and give you some sort of graphical representation of what the PlayStation Pro looks like, at least in respect of the image quality, but it might be quite difficult to do that. A, because I haven't got a 4K video camera, and B, because of the encoding methods on YouTube, it's going to look crap anyway. So I'm not quite sure I'm going to do that. I'm going to have a little plan. I'm going to see what I can sort of come up with. There was a couple of comments in one of my previous videos, certainly around the Samsung screen that I've got, to say, well, there's no video footage, you're not showing much about the screen and that lot, and it's quite hard to get that over, certainly on YouTube. So I don't think I'm going to spend much time on that. This is all about my thoughts, really, about what the PlayStation Pro does and the experience that it gives you guys over the PlayStation 4 and that sort of stuff. I'm not going to do an unboxing video. Well, in fact, I will give you a little bit of an unboxing. There's the box. It's empty. That's the unboxing. Job done. Get that out of the way. So, PlayStation 4 Pro. Well, it's the latest iteration, latest version of the PlayStation 4, mid-generation upgrade, whatever you want to call it. It's got approximately just over twice the amount of GPU power. It's still using the same CPUs, but they've been slightly overclocked. And it has effectively got a quicker memory bandwidth to it. So all in all, it is more powerful. But what does that actually mean to you guys and to me as an end user? Well, straight away, it is the most powerfulest version of the PS4 that you can get. So to me, it has to be a must buy, because I don't want inferior technology. I'm a bit of an idiot like that, and that's just me, and you know. But I've still got my PlayStation 4 here, and I've got the Pro next door with my gaming rig. Look, there's been a lot of chatter about it being sold as a 4K console, and a lot of people are saying, yeah, but the games that are coming out for it all are already out and have been effectively patched for PlayStation 4 Pro, aren't actually 4K, and it's a big sales con, and it's crap, and it hasn't got the power to do 4K, and blah 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 blah. I'll say blah 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 because that is correct in some respect. There are a few games out, and I suspect there will be more games coming out that will be 4K native, but they won't be the big blockbusters, you know, the AAA games, purely because the AAA games historically have all the graphical options turned on, and those people are right. The power of the PlayStation 4 Pro is not enough to provide a native 4K with all the graphic candy, eye candy switched on. It just isn't. However, something that Sony have developed is something called checkerboard rendering or scaling, and it is a method of taking a lower resolution, for instance 1440p, and effectively doing some kind of funky donkey sort of upscaling, and the effects or the outcome of that is extremely impressive, and I will try and show you that actually in one specific game that incorporates checkerboard rendering really well, and it's in famous First Light. So it's an old game. I'm not sure what native resolution it renders at. I think it could be 1600p or 1800p, but it's certainly well below 4K. So it's not 4K native. But the output of that using this checkerboard rendering, so it's a sort of cheating way of trying to get 4K, but it is so sharp. I mean, it really is. It would be, whilst I'm sure there would be some difference if it was native 4K, the difference is, I think, would be really, really minor. It is so sharp, and you can actually flip on the console and there's options to go back to 1080p native on a 4K screen, or use this checkerboard rendering. And when you flip between the two, the 1080p image upscaled with the I presume it's using the TV internal scaling engine, looks gash compared to the checkerboarding rendering method or scaling method. Really does look gash. And this method that Sony are using, or Sony have got available, the libraries that are available, isn't something that is available on all games, and it's down to the developer to actually implement it in whatever way they want to implement it, if they want to use checkerboard rendering. But from what I've seen on First Light, it is bloody impressive. I mean, it really is. That to me sort of goes to show that it doesn't have to be 4K native to get a really, really good presentation on a 4K screen. Certainly over and above the detail levels that you get on a 1080p screen. Now, one thing that's worth mentioning about that is that, and I haven't tried this, so I don't know, I'm just going from some form of logic, that if you're gaming from a living room sort of a distance from the screen, then personally I don't think you would see a big enough benefit from having 4K. I think if you're stuck at 1080p in the living room and you were at a few meters sort of distance, you know, 2, 3, 4 meters distance, you're not going to notice the difference. And it's one of the reasons why I haven't even at the moment even thought about going 4K downstairs. I don't do gaming downstairs. All my gaming is either here or it's next door in the, well, on the gaming rig. And on both of those setups, I'm only a few feet away from the screen. So it's quite important on that sort of distance, or not quite important, but you notice the difference at that distance in resolution bump. And certainly when you've got a much bigger screen on next door, and that screen is now 43 inches on that gaming rig. It used to be 32, and I used to think 32 was quite big, and moved to 43 and thought, shit, this is massive, and because it's a curved screen as well. But having higher resolution at that gaming distance makes a big difference to me. It's easily noticeable, and the definition that you can see in the image, for instance, if I play at 4K on my PC, I've been playing Battlefield 1 this week, and the amount of detail and clarity at 4K on a 43-inch screen when you're only a few feet away from it is tremendous. It really is tremendous, and this is why I love that screen. I think the screen's great. So in respect to the PlayStation Pro, sorry, the PlayStation 4 Pro is what the supposed remit is, or the caveats around the PlayStation 4 Pros. Every single game that comes out for the PlayStation 4 will be compatible with the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 4 Pro, but the PlayStation 4 Pro should have extra bells and whistles on it in respect of image clarity, and one of those will be to bump up the resolution. Now, some of the games at the moment just use normal internal scaling methods, but quite a few of them at the moment use a mix and match of checkerboard rendering. But any game that's using checkerboard rendering in its most best implemented form look stunning. They really do look stunning on a 4K screen. Now, whether or not that's important to you guys is extremely subjective. You know, I can't turn around to you and say, go out and buy a PlayStation 4 Pro, it's going to blow your brains. You know, 4K is the dog's bollocks, just go out and buy it. Because it's not. I mean, it just isn't. And you've got to see it, I suppose, really with your own eyes to make that judgment. One of the other things about PlayStation 4 Pro is the ability for the machine to possibly now, and again this depends on the developers, what they want to focus on. And historically, for both the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 Pro, developers have focused on graphical eye candy. Now, I can understand that to a degree, however, it does grip my shit at times, because it should be about constant frame rate, you know, whether that's at 30 frames a second locked, or whether it's at 60 frames a second locked. And when I play on my PC, I always alter the settings to ensure I go locked on one of those two frame rates. I don't want 50 frames a second, even though there's another thing around that as well now, certainly in regards to PC gaming, but that's another video. So for console gaming, it needs to be 30 or 60 frames a second locked, and the graphical eye candy should be altered to suit. That hasn't really been the case. As I'm sure if you've seen reviews of a lot of games, they fluctuate on frame rates. So with the added grunt, really, of the PlayStation 4 Pro, there is an opportunity now, at least for 1080p games, to hopefully be 60 frames per second locked. But that is going to be down to the developers. So again, it's a bit of a you're in the lap of the gods, really, in respect of what the developer's going to do with the power that they've got. But because Sony are sort of pushing the 4K thing, or should we just say higher resolution than 1080p, because it is variable, I suspect it'd be much the muchness of the same of what we've had at the moment, but with just higher resolutions. Some of the games coming out at the moment, in respect to the patches and the newer games coming out, is that they are able to get 1080p locked at 60 frames a second. So even if you've got a 1080p screen, and the majority of people have, and they will remain to have 1080p screens, is they will have a benefit. Those users will have a benefit, or they should have a benefit. They should have a benefit. Again, it's down to what software developers want to do. Right, guys. Unfortunately, as I anticipated, it is going to be extremely difficult for me to capture any decent representation on this video camera in respect of the differences actually between the various modes on something like First Light, switching between this checkerboard rendering and the 1080p mode. There is a difference to the naked eye, absolutely, trust me, but the difference is only seen at this sort of gaming distance, and I mean, my consoles are down there. Yeah, so I've got the PlayStation 4 Pro on the bottom and the Xbox One S on the top, and I'm not that far away. There's the steering wheel and the gaming rig, and I'm only a few feet away, and I can actually see the difference at this sort of distance from the screen. And like I said, this is a 43-inch screen, and I'm more or less sitting on top of it. I mean, it looks absolutely fantastic, this screen does. It is so clear. The desktop on the PlayStation 4 Pro is rendering at a native 4K. Everything is absolutely pin sharp, as you can see. There's no blurring or anything there on the text, as you would expect, really, but it is totally a waste of time me trying to show you any footage, guys, because it's not gonna give you any form of representation, really. You really got to see this sort of firsthand. So unfortunately, I'll now move back to my desktop, and I'll sort of make some closing comments on the PlayStation 4 Pro. Is it mind-blowing? No, it's not mind-blowing. Does it make a difference? It definitely makes a difference for me because of my gaming distance. It makes a difference to me. So I would suggest that unless you're sitting on your PC, but then again, saying that, there are advantages to 1080p gaming with it. So it's not just a straight, you know, have you got a 4K screen? Do you virtually sit on top of your monitor? And if you tick that and tick that, then yes, go and get the PlayStation 4 Pro, because it's not just about that. The 1080p gaming experience will be enhanced. But I suppose if you've got a PlayStation 4 already, you've already invested some cash. Do you want to go out and spend another £350 on a console that is a bit more powerful, but it's the same kind of console. Again, that's subjective, guys. I can't really give you any yes or no on that. It certainly won't be for everybody, and it's not going to majorly enhance the gaming experience. It really won't. It's just more whistles and bells, but certainly at 4K, you know, with checkerboard rendering, it does look really, really nice, and I can see a lot more games in the future using that checkerboard rendering method. And if they're implemented to the same sort of level as what I've seen on First Light, for instance, then it, you know, the games will look stunning on a 4K machine. Sorry, on a 4K display. So it is a bit of a sort of, you know. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys, and I'll speak to you again soon.